Tyrannosaurus rex. The name itself sounds like a warning that echoes deep in the distances of the prehistoric world. A colossus among predators, a living nightmare of its time, the personification of raw power and dominance. As soon as he stepped into the countryside, everything fell silent. In the dense forests, where other creatures tried to blend in with their surroundings, his presence was a game changer. He was the undisputed ruler of the end of the Cretaceous period. But what exactly did it look like? How did he live? What did he do for a living? And how did his body evolve to perfection that could crush a bone with a single jaw squeeze? This won't just be about teeth and size. Prepare to dive deep into a world where ferocity, intelligence, and evolutionary perfection have clashed. We will look into the life of the T-Rex in a way that no textbook can offer you. A fascinating journey awaits you, which will show you why this creature still haunts the human imagination. And trust me, the more you find out, the less sure you'll ever want to meet this predator face to face. The figure of the T-Rex was characterized by truly monumental proportions. The length of its body exceeded 12 meters, and the weight was around 9 tons. But it wasn't just about size. The body of this creature was built as a perfect death machine. The huge skull, over 1.5 meters long, was designed to support extreme forces during the bite. Strong neck muscles supported massive jaws and allowed for violent attacks that ended in devastation of any victim. The skull of the T-Rex was like a biological tank. It was strengthened, reinforced, and had widely spaced nasal bones, which increased its resistance to impacts. Large eye sockets located in front reveal that the T-Rex had excellent binocular vision. This means that it could sense the depth of space and judge distances, a skill that is absolutely crucial for a successful predator. When the T-Rex clenched his jaws, it was a death sentence. It is estimated that the strength of its bite exceeded 15,000 newtons, the highest measured value for land animals ever. This force was able to pierce even the hardest bones. The skeleton of the prey turned to dust in its jaws. Thanks to this, the T-Rex did not have to be limited to the soft parts of the body, but consumed whole portions, including bones, tendons, and cartilage. The structure of its teeth resembled that of sharp bananas. They were thick and serrated, allowing them not only to tear flesh, but also to cut and crush. Each tooth could grow up to 30 centimeters in length and was constantly replaced by a new one. This means that the T-Rex had hundreds of deadly blades in its mouth during its lifetime, ready to strike at a moment's notice. In addition to its brutal physical strength, the T-Rex was equipped with advanced senses that made it a true hunter. His sense of smell was so developed that he could smell carcasses miles away. The area of the brain responsible for olfactory sensations was greatly expanded, and research shows that it probably had a better sense of smell than today's vultures. This made it easy to find prey even in difficult terrain. The Tyrannosaurus's eyesight was equally impressive. He had excellent spatial vision, which allowed him to accurately target the target when attacking. It is likely that it was able to perceive movement at a distance, even in low light conditions. His hearing was also very well developed, although his exact abilities are still being researched. But from an evolutionary point of view, it was necessary for him to be able to perceive even the quietest footsteps of the victim in the jungle. Although it may seem that such a huge animal must have been clumsy, the opposite is true. The T-Rex could move surprisingly fast. The latest research shows that its speed could reach up to 20 kilometers per hour, which is more than enough to catch up with injured prey or quickly change position during a hunt. Long and strong legs were adapted for stride acceleration, not sprinting, but even that was enough for an effective attack. Thanks to the center of gravity located near the hips, the T-Rex was able to balance well. Its tail acted as a natural counterweight and stabilizer, helping it to maintain balance even during fast movements. The two-toed forelimbs were tiny, but the rest of the body was perfectly adapted to allow the killing machine to move efficiently and lethally through the landscape. The T-Rex was predominantly a carnivore, but the question of whether it was an active hunter or scavenger has long been a matter of debate. Today, the prevailing opinion is that it was an opportunistic predator. That is, it could hunt when it had the opportunity, but it did not disdain carrion. Its exceptional sense of smell and sight allowed it to find prey in any form, living or dead. He usually focused on large herbivores such as Triceratops or Edmontosaurus. A strong jaw grip and a massive physique allowed him to deliver a decisive blow during a short but deadly attack. Its hunting strategies are not fully known, but there is evidence that it was able to surprise its prey from hiding or take advantage of terrain irregularities. He may also have worked in pairs or small groups while hunting, although the social behavior of Tyrannosaurs is still disputed. Based on the fossil footprints, it can be concluded that it could be unexpectedly fast and quick. Death could have come before the prey realized the presence of the predator. When the T-Rex hatched from the egg, it was a mere shadow of the colossus it was meant to become. He was barely 1 meter tall and weighed several kilograms. However, its growth was extremely fast. In adolescence, he could gain up to 600 kilograms per year. Such an increase in weight is unparalleled in the world of land animals. During its life, it transformed from an agile, light, and fast predator into a massive predator with brute strength. Young individuals probably fulfilled a different ecological role than adults. They hunted smaller and faster prey and were dangerous to other types of animals due to their slenderness and agility. As they grew older, their bodies grew larger and their hunting tactics changed. By the age of 20, the T-Rex was at its peak, fully developed, with strong muscles and a dominant position in the food chain. His lifestyle has changed dramatically over the years, as has his physical makeup. Although the T-Rex looks like a blind death machine, it was actually a creature that apparently possessed a decent degree of intelligence. Its brain, although not one of the largest among dinosaurs, had well-developed parts responsible for sensory perception, spatial orientation, and coordination. Research shows that it may have been capable of some form of planning or strategy adaptation, making it one of the smarter theropods of its time. There are even indications that the T-Rex may have been social to some extent. Some fossil footprints suggest that they moved in groups. That would mean cooperation, hierarchy, and maybe even food sharing. Such behavior would be very advantageous for a predator of its size, not only when hunting, but also when protecting territory or young. It is possible that the T-Rex was not only strong, but also smart enough to use this power as effectively as possible. For decades, the T-Rex was depicted as a huge lizard with scaly skin. However, more recent finds have changed our view of its appearance. The presence of simple feathered structures has been discovered in related tyrannosaurids, suggesting that the T-Rex may have had feathers, especially when young. These were not flight feathers, but rather short down feathers, which could have been used to regulate temperature or to give visual signals to other individuals. In adults, scaly skin may have predominated mainly due to body size and the need to maintain temperature balance. It was probably a combination of different textures, scales, bare skin, and feather remnants on certain parts of the body. The T-Rex was therefore not just a monster from nightmares, but a complex and visually diverse creature that could have been much more colorful in the real world than paleontologists had long imagined. A number of uncertainties remain in the reproductive cycle of the T-Rex, but some information is beginning to emerge thanks to modern discoveries. We know that the female probably laid her eggs in shallow nesting holes, similar to modern crocodiles or birds. The number of eggs may have been quite high, but only a small percentage of the young survived, which is consistent with a common evolutionary pattern in large predators. The size of the eggs was not excessively large, even though they grew up to be giants. This confirms the assumption of rapid growth after hatching. It is very likely that at least one of the parents may have stayed at the nest to protect the eggs from predators and help the newly hatched chicks survive the first critical days. Although there is no direct evidence of parental care in the T-Rex, behavior resembling offspring care has already been confirmed in some closely related species. Perhaps the T-Rex was not only a ruthless killer, but also a caring parent who watched over his offspring with the vigilance of a lion. Although the T-Rex was the dominant predator of its time, the landscape was not without competition. In areas where its territory overlapped with other carnivorous dinosaurs or other tyrannosaurids, territorial conflicts could occur. Fights between individuals for food, mating, or standing in a group were not uncommon. Fossil records reveal numerous injuries on skulls and skeletons, indicating aggressive interactions between tyrannosaurs themselves. The fight for territory was probably extremely brutal. Jaws were used, the head as a battering ram, and the massive body as a weapon. A single hit from an opponent could mean serious injury or death. In some cases, however, individuals with extensive injuries have also survived, which indicates exceptional resilience. But these conflicts were not an end in themselves. They were about survival, dominance, and access to the best resources. Approximately 66 million years ago, the Earth was hit by a catastrophe that ended the era of dinosaurs, including the T-Rex. A huge asteroid struck the area of today's Gulf of Mexico, causing global chaos. The ensuing fire, ash in the atmosphere, and dramatic cooling completely disrupted food chains. The T-Rex, as an apex predator dependent on plenty of large prey, was particularly vulnerable. Within a few years or decades, it disappeared completely. Although its end was abrupt and definitive, it left an indelible mark. The T-Rex has become a symbol of the prehistoric world, an icon of strength, dominance, and majesty. Its fossils are the most sought after and best studied among carnivores. Each new find brings us another piece in the mosaic of his life. Though physically extinct, his spirit endures in every generation that discovers the beauty of ancient times. No other prehistoric creature has penetrated human culture as deeply as the T-Rex. From science books to movies to toys, almost every child knows his name. He became a symbol of ferocity and strength, but also a popular figure in popular culture. Scientific rigor has often fallen by the wayside to create a strong and visually appealing character, as in the cult film Jurassic Park, which has forever anchored the T-Rex in the collective imagination. Today, the T-Rex is more than just a long-extinct predator. He is an ambassador of paleontology, a natural gateway to the world of the ancient Earth for millions of people. It stands on the border between science and mythology, as a bridge between what really was and what we imagine. And that's why his story never gets old. Every new discovery, new illustration, or film brings this giant to life and reinforces its place in our perception of the past. The T-Rex was undoubtedly the pinnacle of its ecosystem, but its role was not limited to that of a predator. As a top hunter, he influenced the behavior and migration of other species. Its presence shaped the environment. It forced many herbivores to live in flocks, increased vigilance, or developed defensive strategies. By regulating herbivore populations, it helped maintain a balance between the plant and animal components of the ecosystem. In addition, the T-Rex also served as a scavenger. If he came across the body of a dead creature, he did not disdain easy food. Such behavior allowed him to survive periods when there was a shortage of prey. It thus functioned as a cleaner in the ecosystem, helping to keep the landscape free of spoiled residues. Its presence was not only a threat, but also a key component of the sustainability of life in prehistoric landscapes. The T-Rex fossil is one of the most iconic and best preserved ever. The most famous specimen is named Sioux, named after a paleontologist who discovered it in South Dakota in 1990 AD. It is the most complete skeleton found so far, which has provided a huge amount of information about the anatomy, age, and possible injuries of this creature. Other famous specimens, such as Stan or Scotty, help scientists compare differences between individuals and reconstruct the life of the T-Rex with unprecedented accuracy. Modern technologies, such as CT scans, 3D modeling, or isotope analysis, make it possible to study the internal structures of fossils. Thanks to this, we now know the way of growth, health problems, or injuries that individuals have suffered. Each new find can change our understanding of Tyrannosaurus, and that's why, more than a century after its first discovery, this predator continues to fascinate the world. When the T-Rex was first reconstructed in the early 20th century, it presented itself as a slow, ponderous lizard with its tail dragged along the ground. Scientists of the time depicted it in an upright stance, similar to a kangaroo. We now know that such an attitude would be biomechanically impossible. New discoveries and scientific advances have brought us closer to a more realistic vision, with the torso horizontal, the tail for balance, and the dynamic stance, ready to move. Modern visualization tries to get as close as possible to scientific knowledge. Today, T-Rex models often depict variants with feathered coverage or realistic skin with irregular texture. The T-Rex has moved from caricature to scientifically faithful image. Although he is still a popular figure in pop culture, his reconstructions today, more than ever, draw on hard data. A more accurate look at this creature helps to understand that the real T-Rex was much more complex and interesting than its film version. Fossils of the T-Rex reveal that even the largest predator of prehistory was not invincible. Many specimens bear traces of injuries, fractures, and even signs of infections, which the dinosaur survived. This suggests that he not only had a resilient body, but also the ability to recover from severe injuries, which in the wild world of the time meant the difference between life and death. Some individuals even have fused skull bones after massive blows, probably from battles with other tyrannosaurs or from attacks by prey that defended themselves. Paleopathologists have also found evidence of parasitic diseases such as trichomoniasis-like infections that caused deformities in the jaw. Nevertheless, many specimens show signs of longevity, confirming the ability to adapt and survive despite injuries or illnesses. This fact makes the T-Rex not only a hunter but also a warrior who is able to survive much more in the wilderness than we would expect from a mere killer. The genus Tyrannosaurus belonged to the wider group of tyrannosaurids, which were large carnivores living exclusively in the northern hemisphere. Its closest relatives included Albertosaurus, Daspletosaurus, and Tarbosaurus. These species shared a similar body structure, including a massive skull, strong hind limbs, and reduced front arms. They were predators of the same style, albeit smaller in size and with slightly different ecological preferences. However, the T-Rex was clearly the largest and most advanced of this line. It evolved at the end of the Cretaceous period, and all the features of its body represented the peak of tyrannosaurid adaptation. While its relatives inhabited various habitats across North America and Asia, the T-Rex dominated the western part of the continent. Comparisons with related species help paleontologists understand the evolutionary path that led to the creation of such a titan, and at the same time allow us to more accurately reconstruct its evolution and way of life. In addition to bones, fossil footprints are another valuable source of information. The discovered footprints of the T-Rex prove how heavy the animal moved on different types of surfaces and help estimate walking speed and movement patterns. Some tracks even show signs of slipping, turning, or sliding stride, which approximates the Tyrannosaurus style of movement much more realistically than just by the skeleton. Another fascinating element is the fossilized teeth, which are often found separately. The T-Rex lost its teeth on the bite, but they were quickly replaced by new ones. It is these isolated teeth that help scientists map its distribution in time and space. Some teeth were even found in the skeletons of the prey, which directly documents the attack. These small pieces of evidence piece together a big story about the life, movement, and hunting habits of the largest predator ever to walk the earth. Although for a long time it was thought that DNA could not survive for tens of millions of years, the discovery of soft tissue in Tyrannosaur fossils has opened up fascinating questions. In some well-preserved bones, structures resembling blood vessels and proteins have been found. Although it is not real DNA, it is one of the biggest discoveries in the field of paleobiology in the last decade. It offers the opportunity to understand the biochemistry of prehistoric creatures with unprecedented accuracy. It remains not only a legend among dinosaurs, but also a symbol of science, which is constantly looking for new answers. It reflects our fascination with the past, but also our desire to understand the world we live in. T-Rex will always stand on the border between fact and imagination, as a bridge between a time long ago and our insatiable interest in what was ahead of us. Tyrannosaurus rex wasn't just a giant carnivore, it was the pinnacle of evolution of its time. His deadly jaws, perfect senses, and durability made him a living weapon. Yet, it was more than just a killer. It was part of the ecosystem, had a complex evolution, and influenced science and culture. Each new discovery shows us that the T-Rex is more than just a skeleton. It is the key to understanding the world that was here long before us. Did you like this video? Subscribe, like, and comment. It will help me a lot in my future work. Thanks to